Video 3. Stretching and tensioning wire. Now that we've driven posts and built braces, the next step in our project is stretching wire. To do this efficiently and effectively, we use a wire spooler, sometimes called a wire jenny or spinning jenny, to hold and contain our 4,000-foot rolls of high-tensile wire. For this fence design, we will be installing wires at heights of 6 inches, 12 inches, 18 inches, 24 inches, 34 inches, and 44 inches. Our second wire from the bottom will be a ground wire. The rest will be electrified hot wires. First, we'll mark wire heights on each of our posts. You can use a tape measure or pre-marked post as a guide. For this fence, we're using a pre-marked post for quicker marking. We'll mark our posts at heights of 44, 34, 24, 18, 12, and 6 inches. Working your way around the fence, mark each wire's height on each post. As you do this, it's a good practice to mark or note which wires will be electrified, hot, and which will be grounded. This is important because we'll need to insulate all hot wires to keep them from contacting our posts and shorting out the fence. Please note that our lowest and highest wires are both electrified. This deters carnivores from digging under or climbing over the fence. After you have marked your posts with wire heights, it's time to install end strain insulators wherever a hot wire is broken by a gate. There are many different kinds of end strain insulator. We're using 2 in this fence. One of them, called a tube insulator, is simply a heavy plastic sleeve that keeps a hot wire from touching the post around which it's wrapped. The other variety, known as a W strain or bullnose insulator, creates a similar separation with a block of non-conductive plastic or porcelain. To install a sleeve insulator, simply attach it to your end post with a fencing staple at the proper height. You can run the wire through the sleeve and tie it off. You can also use pre-made taps or crimps to secure the wire. To install a bullnose insulator, start by tying an uninsulated wire around the post and holding it in place with a staple. To tie the wire, we'll use a knot that will be useful throughout this process. Begin by looping the wire around the post, then tie a single overhand knot in the wire. Kinking a handle into the free end, wrap it several times tightly around the running end of the wire. After 3 wraps, you can twist the free end of the wire against itself and snap it off. The movement is unnatural, but it works. Practicing this trick until you've mastered it is worth the effort. Attach a bullnose insulator at the desired distance from the post. For ground wires, use the same knot, but omit the insulator. It's okay for a ground wire to contact the posts of your fence. After your end strain insulators are secure, you can begin paying out wire. Depending on your location, either drive along the fence line with the wire fastened to an end post, or park the truck beside the end post, take the wire in hand, and walk it toward the next point of termination on the fence. Using a truck or ATV can be helpful. Just be sure to secure the payout spinner in place and drive slowly, watching for the wire to make sure it doesn't tangle or get caught on obstacles. Once you reach your next end post, add a wire strainer using the same method, run the wire through a staple, and wrap around the insulator. Repeat this with all other wires. Before tensioning your wires, it's important to install insulators on all corner posts. For our fence, we're using plastic claw-type insulators. 2 screws secure each insulator to the corner posts. On sharp corners and wide posts, a pair of insulators are required to keep the wire from contacting the post. Repeat this process for each wire. Once all wires are strung, you can put tension on them. Choose a spot near the middle of each section of the fence. Cut 1 wire at a time and run the ends through your tensioning device. For this fence, we're using gripples. Other strainers are shown on our resources page and in the Modifying an Existing Fence video series. Using your strainer, tension the wires. You'll want them quite taut. Don't be afraid to pull hard. High tensile wire is strong stuff. Now that the fence wire is stretched up and tight, we will go back around the fence and place all the wire in the insulators at the appropriate heights. Lastly, for this fence design, we incorporated composite posts between our wood posts. This gave us more inline posts while allowing us to space the wooden posts further apart than we would have normally been able to do. Now that our fence wires are up, we will go back around the fence line and add composite posts between our wood posts. Using a pilot driver tool, we create a 1-inch pilot hole for the composite post, insert the post, and tamp it into place with a pounder. To secure the wire to the composite posts, pre-drill a hole at the correct height for each fence wire. Then use cotter pins to secure the wire to the composite post at the appropriate heights. Now that your fence wire is stretched up and properly insulated, we are ready to install the gates and make our electrical connections. See video 4 on how to install and bear-proof gates.